Welcome, friends, to the Someone Gets Me podcast. I am your host, Dianne A, and I am so delighted that you're here. This podcast was created because I believe there is a visionary leader inside each one of us who is waiting to be seen. In each episode of Someone Gets Me, you will hear useful tips from successful visionaries who will share their stories about how being seen has allowed them to take their vision out into the world with action. The importance of alignment for neurodivergent and gifted people. Hi friends, it's Dianne here at Someone Gets Me, and today's topic is something that's near and dear to my heart. You'll notice I'm wearing a green ribbon because I'm recording this show in the month of May, and May is Mental Health Awareness Month. Now, as many of you know, I've been a veteran professional, I guess we could say, in the mental health field for over 4 decades. I'm suddenly feeling very old, but I have a lot of expertise in this area. And alignment is something, and congruence and those things are something that really matters to me because I notice it all the time. And I also notice people who think they're in alignment and they're not in alignment. So I thought I would talk about that as it relates to neurodivergent and gifted people. But I also think these topics and these ideas relate to most people. So if you're neurodivergent, listen in. This will be good for you. If you're not neurodivergent, or if you're wondering if you are, if you relate to what I'm saying, then you probably have an A on the quiz. All right. So let's talk for a moment about congruence. Congruence is when things match up, right? They align, they come together. And so in the mental health world, one of the things we look for is mood and affect congruence. So if I say I'm happy, but I have a down face, that's incongruent. If I say I'm happy and I'm smiling, that's congruent, right? And so if our affect, our face, looks like how our insides feel, then we're on the right track. And so sometimes people say they're fine when they're not. And one of the things that parents do, I believe that's an error with their children, if their mom or dad is crying and the child says, "What's wrong, mommy?" And then the mommy says, "Nothing, honey." But yet that mother is crying. That child knows something is wrong. Now, that doesn't mean this child gets the whole story, but to deny your feelings to your child is teaching them to deny their feelings. Then when they're older and they're struggling with emotion, they learned it. They learned to deny their feelings because the adults around them denied them to them. So we want to have mood affect congruence. And with neurodivergent people, sometimes that's tricky. Some of us have difficulty with our affect, really flat a lot. And some people are over animated sometimes and they get really, really excited and finally connect with somebody who gets them, right? And then there's also the difficulty when we've had trauma or maybe we're going through grief and it's hard to put a smile on our face when we're really sad. Or we're smiling and then something reminds us of something we miss and then all of a sudden we're sad. So there's lots of situations where this can happen. Now, over time, if we're incongruent, that is a signal that something's up. That's a signal that you want to seek somebody to listen to you and help you out so that you can get congruent again. The other kind of congruence that I think is really important for alignment is a mind-body agreement, where what our mind is saying and what our brain is saying and our self-talk goes with what our body is doing. I see this show up a lot when it comes to fear, especially around sports or activity. It happens to me sometimes when I'm out hiking or doing something that tall people can do easy because I'm only 4'11", I have short legs. And so when we're out hiking and I have to like step over a big branch or reach really far, I don't have the reach some of the other people do. And so I can feel my brain, my mind start telling me things about fear, and you can't do this, and you're not tall enough, and you're not going to make it. And so then my body recoils. And so fear will make your body recoil, whether it's a real fear or not. And so when we live in a place of ease and gratitude and relaxation, our body can come into more of an agreement, an alignment, being congruent with what our mind is doing. Another way, and it drives me bananas, right? Where people are saying yes, like, yes, it was a really good time. Do you see what I did? Yes, it was a really good time. For those of you listening, I'm shaking my head no while I'm saying yes. I see it all the time where people say, oh, it was a horrific accident. They're shaking their head yes while they're talking about something horrible. That is a mind-body misalignment. If I'm talking about something great, then my head should be going yes. If I'm talking about something horrific or sad, then my head should be going no. But when I'm saying something is terrible and I'm shaking my head yes, what you're telling me, the witness over here, is that you're not in alignment. Either the pain is so difficult, you're pretending like it's not there, or maybe you're just unconscious and unaware that your body is sending a different message than what you're saying. And it happens a lot because remember, the people in your world respond to you based on your energy and how you're feeling and what you're doing, not always what you say. So sometimes they're going to respond to what you're putting off, and that may not match what you're saying. And you're thinking they're responding to what you're saying, but really is what you're putting off energy wise. So it's very important that we have congruence and alignment. In fact, often I'm asked a lot about like, what matters to you? What is aligned with you, Dianne, with someone gets me? And it's things like professionalism and integrity and elegance, right? One of my old website designers asked me a great question. He goes, what brands do you love? What is it that brings you that sense of alignment and congruence? And the first thing I said was Movado, because there's an elegant simplicity. I look at the natural stars and moons and nature and the way the flowers bloom, and I see elegant simplicity. So that's how I know that I'm most aligned, when I'm connected to that. So as I look at mental health and Mental Health Awareness Month, and I pay attention to not only my own health, but the health of everyone around me, I notice that there's a lot of fear and there's a lot of trepidation and there's a lot of stuff that happens. So I want to give you some tips of how you know your body is saying no, where your body is telling you that there's a misalignment and you may not be paying attention. Or it might happen so much you're not realizing your body's trying to talk to you, because I think it's so important. So the first thing is where you feel stuck, unable to move, kind of stuck. Neurodivergent people, especially people with ADHD, can have a million things to do and be stuck on the couch. And they know they need to do it. And they know it's really important. And they might even have it on their calendar. They might have it in 3 reminders and some Post-it notes and people calling them. But for whatever reason, their body is not allowing them to. They feel stuck. In fact, that's my specialty, is helping people get unstuck. But it's so important to realize that when we feel stuck as a gifted person, it's because our body is saying something to us. Something's not lined up in the way that will serve us the best way it can. Another thing that I think about is curling into something small. I watch people do that, where their shoulders turn in, they bow in. If somebody's depressed, they are usually looking down at the ground or at their abdomen, and they're curling their body in instead of standing with their shoulders back and straight up, right? And so when you feel yourself kind of curling in, your body is saying, hey, hold on, things aren't safe right now. We're not aligned. Pay attention here. It doesn't mean that there's something wrong, and it certainly doesn't mean there's something wrong with you. It means your body is saying, pay attention. Some other big things that I think about, and I've experienced myself, and a lot of my clients have, are things like a lump in our throat, where you can't talk. It's right here. It's a lump in your throat, or maybe a knot in your stomach where you feel like you're either going to throw up, maybe nauseous, or maybe not going to digest food. And then you also have a situation where your heart has palpitations. Like my mother had severe anxiety and heart palpitations. And so that was always an issue. See, all these are examples of your body sending you the message that it's out of alignment, that you are out of alignment. And so we are taught in this culture often to just keep on going, to not think about and pay attention to the messages our body is sending us. I think that's how a lot of neurodivergent and gifted people get themselves in trouble. They don't pay attention to their body. They're too busy listening to their mind only. So we also want to think about things like fatigue. That's a one for me. I can be really tired after a long time of work, or thinking, or creating a lot. And sometimes my body says, will you please let me rest? And so my brain will say, well, let's keep going. And so the fatigue is my body saying, let's take a break. So I've learned over the years to listen to that. And I've learned that when my body says it's fatigued, to listen and rest, because the consequence is further issues with your body, like clenching your jaw, your tongue hanging out on the roof of your mouth. Or I've seen people do this before where they start making fists, their hands just start clenching. Again, that's part of that curling in that comes from fear and anger and misalignment. So, of course, our vagus nerve, our longest nerve in the body, is the nerve that controls most of all of this. It's connected to all of it. So when we're not aligned and we're not congruent, it typically means that we're dysregulated. Neurodivergent and gifted people are very sensitive to dysregulation. One of the things I do in my work with people is help get them regulated, whether it's through a precognitive music intervention I use, or whether it's through some other skills and other techniques. Being regulated and learning how to work with our nervous system as a beautiful entity versus trying to fix it or deny it is where our power is. So as gifted people, it's extremely important that we tune in even deeper to our body and the messages our body gives us. So are you paying attention to all those things? Do you have any of those things going on right now? Or maybe earlier today? You had things going on, or you can relate to some of these over time. So it's not that they're always there 100% of the time. It's that they're telling you in the time, in the moment, that something's not right. Now, also what goes with this is the signs from your body that you are in alignment and things are going really well, or that things are flowing. Like the state of flow, that state of ease and poise and grace. That's what we want to do. We want to live like in the eternal no and have this now experience of flowing through the world. And so here's how we do that. We can tell we're in alignment when we have physical ease. Our muscles relax easily. Like pay attention right now to your feet and your ankles. Are they relaxed? How about your knees? How about your jaw? Is it relaxed? Or is it tight a little bit right here? What's going on? Is your body integrated and relaxed and stable and grounded? That's how you know you're in alignment. Another way you know you're in alignment is when your emotions are steady. Now, your emotion is the energy source that tells you you're alive. How you define it and what you focus on is totally a mental game. So are your emotions stable? That's so important. The next thing I want you to pay attention to is your energy. Is your energy level consistent? Meaning not big fluctuations of ups and downs. Now, we all will have some ups and downs in the days because that's the sine wave we live on. That's the way energy works. But what I'm talking about is things where your energy is consistent. You can rely on yourself. This is the way it is. I think it's really powerful. The next thing is authenticity. I just got a question about that actually on my YouTube channel about authenticity in business. But authenticity means that our motives, disclosed and undisclosed, our mood, our affect, our body, and our energy all come together to the table, upfront, open, and alive. That we are who we say we are in the moment we say we are that. It means that what you see is what you get. Right? It means that all of us comes together, all parts of us come together for the greater whole. It's extremely important that we realize and we remember that that authenticity is a hallmark of somebody who is healthy, somebody who is aligned, and somebody who is actually living their life purpose. And sometimes that's hard for neurodivergent people because we get so used to masking. We get so used to hiding because people around us may or may not be able to handle us. Or we're in situations that confound us because we process the world differently. Gifted people process so differently that sometimes being authentic is tricky when you're out in the real world, as we say, when you're out in the wild, right? Because it's a little goofy out there sometimes. And then, of course, one of the other things that's a big one for me is sleep and digestion. When I'm going through a misaligned or very stressful time, my digestion doesn't work very well. I eat and it feels like there's lead in my stomach. Or sometimes I don't sleep very well, or sometimes all I want to do is sleep. All of those tell me that my body is out of alignment. So think about your life right now for just a minute. What is it that tells you when you're in alignment or out of alignment? I know when I have a really good night's sleep and I wake up like myself with my energy, or I eat food and my body just takes in the nourishment and you can feel it. That's much more alignment than where things are kind of sticky and not working. So how does your body speak to you? The last way that I want to talk about that has to do with alignment and knowing you're in alignment is having a sense of presence, meaning that I can be fully present and fully attentive in this moment to the task, whether it's talking to someone, writing, whatever it is in a conversation, or I'm not 900 different ways from Sunday. Now, having ADHD, having neurodivergent, sometimes our brains wander and things like that. That's a piece of it, but that's not all of it, because we can still be aligned and be distracted. The sense of presence means I'm grounded in the conversation or in the interaction or in the activity. And if my mind wanders a little, I bring it back and I'm back in the place, right? Not having a sense of presence is when we're so distracted and we don't even know we're there. We're dissociated from the situation. So it's very important that we realize that when we're in alignment and we're congruent, that there's an ease and a flow in our life. Our voice tone relaxes. I can always tell when I'm working with people when they're feeling more calm and they're more aligned because their voices relax. Our jaws relax. Our eyes soften a little bit. There's all these things that tell us that our body is comfortable, it's in alignment, and it's safe. Because, see, when we live in a world with so much fear going on, and real and perceived, right, then it's easy to get out of alignment. It's easy to be incongruent. And it's extremely important for us neurodivergent and gifted people to be very attentive to our alignment and congruence. Because think about it this way. We are experts at being able to detect misalignment anywhere else. We can tell when somebody is saying one thing and meaning something else. We can tell when somebody is doing something and it feels differently. We all know those things, right? So what really matters is that we hone that in ourselves, that we have our own personal awareness, that we stop sleepwalking around and paying attention to everyone else other than ourselves. Make sense? I hope this does make sense to you, because I think it's really important, especially when we think about our health. As a very intensely sensitive person, and those of us who have a lot of empathy, we absorb a lot of the energy from the world. Sometimes it can be very tricky. So I'm hoping that as you pay attention to your body, you can use that part of you to send you the messages that are most powerful as to whether you're on track or not. And there's always a way to get unstuck. So if you have any questions about any of this, or you want to talk about it further, make sure that you schedule a get to know you call or send me an email, because I am happy to have a conversation with you about this or anything else. Because the truth is you're beautiful and lovable and capable. And the truth is you're perfect, whole, and complete. So hope this episode of Someone Gets Me has served you. And until the next episode of Someone Gets Me, put your face to the sun so the shadows fall behind you, because you're a rock star. You are here on purpose with a mighty purpose. So go out there, let your light shine, and remember, stay congruent and aligned, and you will see your life become magical. Be well. Thank you for listening. I trust you gained some valuable inspiration and information. Please join me and other visionaries in the Someone Gets Me Facebook group. Or for more information on my services and additional episodes, visit someonegetsme.com. Again, thanks for listening.